Are you ready for what's coming? Because right now, at this very moment, a massive storm system is unleashing 60-mile-per-hour winds across the Northeast. And that's just the beginning. Here's what most people don't know. The weather pattern we're seeing isn't just unusual. It's about to change everything heading into the new year. In the next 30 seconds, I'm going to reveal the 3 critical dates you need to circle on your calendar. First, let me give you this promise. By the 5-minute mark of this briefing, you'll know exactly when the next Arctic blast hits, which states face the highest risk, and the one day where temperatures will drop 30 degrees in just 6 hours. Right now, severe thunderstorm warnings are active across North Carolina. Wind gusts are hitting 50 to 60 miles per hour on Cape Cod and Martha's Vineyard. That's tropical storm force winds, folks. The National Weather Service has issued high wind warnings across the entire Appalachian Mountain range. But here's the twist. Temperatures this morning, 64 degrees in the Carolinas. By tonight, 32 degrees. A 32-degree drop in less than 12 hours. The water vapor satellite shows something extraordinary. There's a massive moisture surge, the white areas you'd see on radar, streaming across New England and the mid-Atlantic right now. Behind it, bone-dry Arctic air, temperatures of -10 to -20 degrees Fahrenheit, already gripping Minnesota and North Dakota. As Psalm 148 reminds us, he sends forth his command to the earth. His word runs swiftly. He gives snow like wool and scatters frost like ashes. We're witnessing that power right now. Here's what's happening in the next 24 hours. This storm system is taking on what meteorologists call a negative tilt. That's technical speak for it's getting stronger, fast. The cold front behind it is dropping temperatures 10 degrees every hour in some locations. Michigan's Upper Peninsula, already buried under lake-effect snow. Wisconsin, single-digit temperatures. Iowa, 0 degrees and falling. Now here's the question everyone's asking. What happens next? The best part is coming at minute 8. But first, you need to understand this pattern. Between now and Christmas, we're looking at a ridge high-pressure system building across the center of the country. That means mild temperatures for Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. Some areas will hit the 70s. Yes, 70 degrees in December. But that ridge creates a problem. It's funneling Pacific moisture straight into the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. Heavy rain at lower elevations, significant snow above 5,000 feet. The Great Lakes region? They're in for rounds of lake-effect snow through the weekend. Northern Wisconsin could see 6 to 12 inches. The Upper Peninsula of Michigan? Several inches, possibly over a foot in some locations. Here's the shocking detail most forecasts won't tell you. Detroit might only get half an inch, but drive 50 miles north? Suddenly, you're looking at 6 inches. Temperature anomalies are remarkable. We're talking 10 to 30 degrees above average across much of the southern United States. Meanwhile, the upper Midwest is experiencing 20 to 30 degrees below average. As we approach Christmas, the pattern shifts, and this is where it gets interesting. Remember that promise I made? Here it is at minute 5, December 28th. Mark that date. That's when everything changes. A new storm system develops. This one's different. It's not coming from the typical northwest trajectory. Instead, it's forming in an unusual pattern that could bring significant winter weather to unexpected areas. The European model, which has been remarkably accurate this season, shows something developing between Christmas and New Year's that hasn't been seen in years. But let's talk about Christmas first. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day look relatively quiet for most of the country. The Northeast finally calms down after this current windstorm. Temperatures moderate, nothing extreme. Families can travel safely. That's a blessing, considering how many people will be on the roads. As it says in Proverbs, the Lord directs our steps. For those traveling, that's comforting news. The South enjoys mild conditions, 50s and 60s, perfect for outdoor Christmas celebrations. The West Coast continues its wet pattern, but nothing severe. Snow in the Sierras and Cascades for ski resorts. Here's the twist at minute 8. That calm doesn't last. December 26th, things start to change. A disturbance forms in the Gulf of Alaska. By December 27th, it's dropping south. And by December 28th, we're looking at a potential major winter storm. The current models, and I'm talking about the GFS, the European, and the Canadian models, they're all showing something significant. Not all in the same location, that's still being worked out, but they all agree something's coming. Here's what we know. Arctic air will be in place across the northern tier states. When that storm system moves east, it could tap into that cold air. The result? Heavy snow for someone. Who? That's the million-dollar question. The track of the storm determines everything. A northern track means snow for the Great Lakes and interior Northeast. A southern track means the mid-Atlantic and possibly even North Carolina could see snow. I've been doing this for years, and I can tell you, patterns like this, they don't come around often. When you get Arctic air in place and a developing storm system, that's when memorable winter weather happens. Think back to January 2016. Remember that storm? It dumped feet of snow across the mid-Atlantic. Washington, D.C. was buried. So was Virginia, Maryland, even parts of the Carolinas. That storm wasn't even on the radar in early December of 2015. In fact, December 2015 was incredibly warm. It hit 80 degrees in parts of the South on Christmas Day. Then, boom, everything flipped in January. Or December 2021, warm tornado outbreak in Arkansas and Kentucky. Then, January 2022 hit and it snowed 3 weekends in a row across the Carolinas. The pattern can flip fast. That's what people need to understand. Now, here's the critical information for the period after December 28th. Early January shows continued unsettled weather. Not necessarily cold everywhere, but active. Storm systems tracking across the country every few days. Each one brings the potential for winter weather to somebody. The upper Midwest and Great Lakes, they're looking at consistent cold and snow opportunities through at least the first week of January. Lake effect snow machines will be running. Temperature-wise, we're seeing a battleground set up across the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic. Warm air trying to push north, cold air trying to hold on. That zone where they meet, that's where winter storms develop. One model run shows temperatures in the teens across Pennsylvania and upstate New York on January 2nd. Another shows 40s. That's a massive spread, and it tells us the pattern is volatile. Volatile patterns create opportunities for significant weather events. Here's what you need to do. First, if you're traveling between December 27th and January 3rd, stay flexible. Have backup plans. Check forecasts daily, not just the day before you leave. Second, if you live anywhere from the Rockies to the East Coast, make sure you're prepared. Extra food, water, medications, flashlights with fresh batteries, a full tank of gas in your vehicle. Third, for those in snow-prone areas, have your snow removal equipment ready. Don't wait until the storm is here to find out your snowblower won't start. As it says in Proverbs 27 verse 12, the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. Wisdom means being prepared. The Pacific Northwest faces a different challenge. Ongoing rain. The atmospheric river pattern continues. Some areas could see 3 to 6 inches of rain between now and New Year's. That means flooding concerns, especially in areas that have already been saturated. Higher elevations in Washington, Oregon, and Northern California, they're looking at measured snowfall in feet, not inches. Good news for ski resorts, but travel through mountain passes will be treacherous at times. California's Central Valley stays wet but not flooded. Southern California actually looks pretty nice, mostly dry with seasonal temperatures. Arizona and New Mexico remain mild and dry. Perfect winter weather for the Southwest. Texas and the Deep South, mainly dry with above normal temperatures through the holiday period. The one exception, that late December storm system could bring rain to parts of Texas and Louisiana as it develops. Here's a detail that's fascinating. Some areas in the Central Plains could hit 70 degrees just days before potentially seeing snow. Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma. That temperature whiplash is hard on infrastructure and hard on people. The Midwest faces the most consistent cold, from the Dakotas down through Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa. Temperatures running 10 to 20 degrees below normal becomes the new normal through early January. But here's what keeps me watching these models. The long-range pattern, 10 to 14 days out, shows signs of a significant pattern change around January 10th to 12th. What kind of change? The models hint at the polar vortex weakening. When that happens, Arctic air can plunge south, way south. We could be looking at freeze events into the deep south, potentially even Florida. It's too early to say definitively, but the signals are there. Multiple ensemble members show it. That's not a guarantee, but it's worth monitoring. For snow lovers, that would be welcome news. For farmers and growers, it's concerning. A hard freeze in January can damage crops, even kill citrus trees if it's severe enough. Let me give you the 3 key dates to remember. December 28th, potential winter storm development. Stay alert if you're anywhere from the Rockies to the East Coast. January 2nd, active weather continues, possible snow for the Great Lakes and Northeast. January 10th to 12th, possible pattern flip to much colder air, potentially reaching the deep south. Now, here's something else to consider. This winter isn't over by any stretch. People want to declare winter dead in December. That's premature. Some of the biggest winter storms in history have happened in January, February, even March. The 1993 superstorm? March. The 1996 blizzard that buried the East Coast? January. The 2009 ice storm that devastated Kentucky? January. Winter storms don't read calendars. They happen when the atmospheric setup is right. And we're seeing signs that the setup could get very right in January. Prayer and preparation go hand in hand. As James 4 verse 14 reminds us, you do not know what tomorrow will bring. We plan, we prepare, but ultimately we trust in the Lord's provision and protection. For those dealing with this current windstorm, stay indoors if possible. Secure outdoor items, don't drive unless absolutely necessary. Power outages are likely in some areas with these 60-mile-per-hour gusts. Trees are vulnerable, especially evergreens in full leaf or needle. The combination of wind and saturated ground means trees can topple easily. Stay away from windows on the side of your house facing the wind. This storm clears out by Saturday morning for most areas, but it leaves behind bitter cold. Wind chills Saturday morning could be in the single digits or below zero across the upper Midwest. Frostbite can occur in less than 10 minutes in those conditions. Cover all exposed skin if you must be outside. The Northeast faces wind chills in the teens and 20s by Saturday. Not as extreme, but still cold enough to be dangerous if you're unprepared. Sunday brings a moderation. Temperatures rebound slightly, not warm, but not as harsh. That's the pattern through much of next week. Cold, but manageable for most areas. Until we get to that December 27th, 28th timeframe, then all bets are off. Here's what I'm watching most closely. The storm track. If that developing system tracks along the I-95 corridor, major cities from DC to Boston could see significant snow. If it tracks further south, the Carolinas and Georgia could be in play. If it tracks too far north, mainly rain for the coast with inland snow. The difference of 100 miles in storm track means the difference between 12 inches of snow or nothing but rain. That's why I tell people, don't get locked into one forecast a week out. The track will shift. Models will change. Stay flexible, stay informed. For those wondering about New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, right now it looks active but not necessarily dangerous for most locations. Cold in the north, mild in the south. Typical winter pattern. But if that December 28th storm is stronger than expected and slower moving, it could still be affecting the East Coast on New Year's Eve. Something to monitor. As we move into January, the overall pattern favors more winter weather opportunities than we've seen so far this December. That ridge over the west weakens. The jet stream becomes more amplified. Cold air has easier access to the eastern half of the country. For the plains and Midwest, that means regular shots of cold air and snow chances. For the South, it means more variability. Warm one week, cold the next. The East Coast becomes a battleground. Every few days, deciding if a storm brings rain or snow. That's actually when winter gets most interesting for weather watchers. One factor working against widespread snow in the South. Sea surface temperatures are still above normal along the Atlantic coast. That makes it harder for cold air to penetrate all the way to the coast. But not impossible. If we get a strong enough high-pressure system over Canada, it can force that cold air south despite the warm ocean. We saw it happen last year. It can happen again. Here's my advice for the next 2 weeks. Check forecasts daily. Not just for your location, but for anywhere you plan to travel. Weather can change plans quickly. Keep emergency supplies in your vehicle if you're driving anywhere. Blankets, water, snacks, phone charger, flashlight, basic items that could save your life if you get stranded. At home, make sure your heating system is working properly. Have backup heating sources if possible. Know where your water shutoffs are in case of frozen pipes. For those in snow-prone areas, stock up on salt or sand for walkways. Ice melt for driveways. Nobody wants to make an emergency store run in a blizzard. And here's something people forget. Charge all your devices before a storm. Have battery packs ready. If power goes out, you want to stay connected to weather updates and emergency information. As we wrap up, let me leave you with this. Weather is powerful, but faith is stronger. As Nahum 1 verse 3 says, His way is in the whirlwind and the storm, and clouds are the dust of his feet. These storms, this cold air, the changing patterns, they're all part of the natural cycles the Creator set in motion. We respect that power. We prepare for it, but we don't fear it. Stay safe out there. Watch the weather closely over the next 2 weeks. That December 28th date is crucial. And remember, winter is far from over. January and February often bring the most significant winter weather. The next update will reveal more details as those models come into better agreement. For now, be prepared, stay informed, and keep your loved ones close during this holiday season. God bless and stay weather aware.